Spider-Man has swung through the silver screen in various iterations over the last 2 decades, but despite the web-slinging hero's enduring popularity, there remain several aspects of his story that the movies just can't seem to agree upon. Over the course of 10 films since 2002, each director has put their unique spin on the character, resulting in intriguing disparities. While at its core, Spider-Man's narrative revolves around a young New Yorker gaining extraordinary spider-like abilities, the interpretations of this tale diverge significantly among the Raimi, Webb, MCU, and Sony Spider-Verses. From his love life to the trials he faces and the foes he combats, each cinematic take on Spider-Man has brought its own twist to the table. Sometimes, he's a high schooler juggling superpowers with prom dates, and in other instances, he's a grown-up trying to balance work and love. While his powers and heroism consistently shine, the essence of Spider-Man seems to take on different hues in each version. Number 10. Peter Parker's Day Job. For Peter Parker, being Spider-Man inevitably becomes the most critical aspect of his life. Yet, the Spider-Man movies also offer glimpses into Peter's hobbies beyond crime fighting, notably his passion for photography. Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's iterations both dabble in amateur photography, often snapping shots of their high school experiences. Staying true to the comics, they even monetize their superhero alter egos by selling Spider-Man photos to the Daily Bugle. Maguire's Peter is firmly rooted in his era, as he's the only one capable of capturing high-quality Spidey shots due to the limited technology of the time. In contrast, Tom Holland's Peter, situated in the digital age of social media and smartphones, sees his Spider-Man persona go viral overnight, rendering the need for him to be a photographer somewhat obsolete. In Spider-Man: Far From Home, Holland's Peter faces public exposure as Spider-Man, thanks to a phone video leaked by the enigmatic Mysterio, further altering the character's trajectory. Number 9. The Origins of Spider Powers. Every cinematic Peter Parker acquires his extraordinary abilities after being bitten by a radioactive spider. However, the source of this radioactive spider varies across iterations. Maguire's Peter is bitten during a school trip to a genetics laboratory at Columbia University, a happenstance that underscores the idea that anyone, regardless of their background, could become Spider-Man. In Garfield's version, Peter is bitten while sneaking into the secretive science and technology conglomerate, Oscorp, to uncover the mysteries surrounding his father's death. This alteration in origin serves to emphasize Oscorp's shadowy dealings, possibly involving unethical genetic experiments, aligning with Peter's investigative pursuits throughout the films. Number 8. Web shooters, organic or synthetic. One of Spider-Man's most iconic abilities is his web-slinging prowess. However, there's a notable discrepancy in the movies regarding whether Spider-Man's web shooters are organic or synthetic. In most iterations, including Andrew Garfield's, Tom Holland's MCU Spider-Man, and the diverse array of Spider-People in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the movies align with the comic book canon. They depict Spider-Man as a scientific genius who invents his web shooters and concocts high-quality, durable webbing. Peter's intellect shines as he designs and engineers this essential crime-fighting tool. But then there's Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. In this rendition, Peter discovers that he can organically produce webbing and shoot it from his wrists after being bitten. This unique twist becomes a pivotal plot element in Spider-Man 2. At one point, Peter struggles to produce webbing, mirroring his inner and interpersonal conflicts. Only by reconciling his role as Spider-Man and healing strained relationships can he regain this power. This organic webbing underscores a common theme across all Spider-Man narratives. Being a hero hinges as much on one's mindset as it does on their abilities, with the latter being practically useless without the former. Number 7. Peter Parker's age at the time of his transformation. A defining characteristic that sets Spider-Man apart is his youthful age when he acquires his powers. Tobey Maguire's Peter stands as the eldest among the 3 main Spider-Man portrayals. He's bitten during his senior year of high school, roughly around 18 years old. This age difference lends his storyline a unique sense of maturity as he navigates the tumultuous waters of young adulthood throughout the trilogy. Contrastingly, Tom Holland's Peter is just 14 when he gains his powers. He experiences quintessential teenage milestones such as homecoming, academic decathlons, and applying to college with friends. These adolescent experiences, coupled with Holland's youthful portrayal, infuse his Spider-Man story with a profound coming-of-age essence. Andrew Garfield's Peter falls in between, bitten 2 years prior to his high school graduation, placing him at around 16. He contends with typical teenage tribulations like bullies and crushes, though these aspects don't carry the same weight in his narrative as they do in Holland's. When Garfield's Peter graduates from high school in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, it signals a transition into challenges more akin to Maguire's older Peter, showcasing the character's evolving journey. Number 6. The Fate of George Stacy. Gwen Stacy, one of Peter Parker's primary love interests in the comics, appears across various Spider-Man movie franchises, and her father, Captain George Stacy, often accompanies her. In these movies, Captain Stacy typically disapproves of Spider-Man's vigilantism, making it his mission to apprehend the wall-crawler. In The Amazing Spider-Man, Captain Stacy eventually assists Spider-Man in his battle against the Lizard. Tragically, upon discovering Spider-Man's true identity as Peter, he extracts a promise from him to keep Gwen safe before his untimely demise. The death of Captain Stacy holds such significance that it is considered a canon event, even transcending different Spider-Man universes, as evident in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. However, not all Spider-Man iterations experience this loss. Tobey Maguire's Peter, for example, briefly encounters Captain Stacy but does not undergo the emotional turmoil of losing him. This difference in narrative has minimal impact on Maguire's Peter, as his primary love interest is Mary Jane, not Gwen. On the other hand, Tom Holland's Peter never crosses paths with a police captain or has a chance encounter with Gwen. This variability in Captain Stacy's role in Peter's life within the franchises challenges the concept of canonical events, showcasing the flexibility of Spider-Man's story. Number 5. SpiderMans Interaction with the Avengers. Tom Holland's portrayal of Spider-Man stands out due to his introduction in Captain America: Civil War. As a member of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU, Holland's Spider-Man frequently shares the screen with other iconic Marvel heroes, particularly the Avengers, in major crossover films. Notably, Tony Stark officially designates Peter as an Avenger in Avengers: Infinity War. In contrast, the other Spider-Man iterations largely operate within self-contained narratives, and they don't encounter other heroes until they are transported to the MCU's universe, as seen in Spider-Man: No Way Home. This distinction arises from the complex ownership of Spider-Man by Sony Pictures, which holds the rights to the character but not to many other Marvel figures, including the Avengers. A unique agreement between Disney and Sony paved the way for Spider-Man's inclusion in the MCU, culminating in the thrilling crossover in No Way Home. Number 4. Spider-Man's First Adversary. Almost immediately after donning the Spider-Man mantle, Peter Parker finds himself squaring off against nefarious foes, each with their distinct flavor of villainy across the cinematic franchises. In Tobey Maguire's portrayal, Peter's inaugural adversary is the Green Goblin, arguably Spider-Man's most renowned villain and arch-nemesis from the comics. This confrontation leads to a monumental, nearly life-threatening rift in his friendship with Harry Osborn, who pins Spider-Man as responsible for his father's demise. Andrew Garfield's Peter's first foray into villainy involves the Lizard, also known as Dr. Curt Connors, a scientist at Oscorp who embarks on genetic experimentation that ultimately transforms him. Dr. Connors, a close friend of Peter's father, learns of Peter's father's secret algorithm, which proves instrumental in his experiments. The personal connection between Peter and Connors adds depth to their adversarial relationship. In Tom Holland's version, Peter's initial solo showdown away from the Avengers pits him against Adrian Toomes, the Vulture, an underground arms dealer dealing in intergalactic weaponry. Intriguingly, Toomes happens to be the father of Peter's crush, Liz. Although these villains differ significantly, they all commence their journeys as mild-mannered, trusted individuals who hold profound significance for the people Peter cares about. It's their descent into criminality that forces Peter to mature and confront the complex, gray-shaded world of heroism. Number 3. Spider-Man's Endgame love interest, MJ or Gwen Stacy. Spider-Man's romantic entanglements have long been a core aspect of his narrative, and two iconic love interests have graced the character's journey. Tobey Maguire's Peter has harbored affection for Mary Jane since childhood, but their relationship proves tumultuous when they finally come together. Briefly, he dates Gwen Stacy, primarily as an attempt to incite jealousy in Mary Jane. When Maguire's Peter enters Tom Holland's universe, he reflects on his relationship with MJ, stating that they faced their share of challenges but eventually made it work. Andrew Garfield's Peter, on the other hand, is deeply in love with Gwen Stacy. Tragically, their story concludes in heartbreak when Gwen meets a tragic end in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. When Garfield's Peter encounters Tom Holland's Peter, it becomes evident that he hasn't entirely moved on from Gwen's death, leaving his future romantic prospects uncertain. Tom Holland's Spider-Man is in a relationship with MJ, who is notably not named Mary Jane but rather Michelle Jones. However, in the climactic events of No Way Home, MJ forgets Peter's existence due to a spell gone awry. Meanwhile, Miles Morales develops feelings for Gwen Stacy from an alternate universe but is cautious due to the grim history of Spider-Man and Gwen in various universes, which often ends tragically. Consequently, in the current state of the Spider-Man franchises, the character's endgame romantic status remains ambiguous, and it appears that, for the most part, he ends up alone. Number 2. Losses in Spider-Man's life. While Spider-Man's youthful charm and witty persona may lend an air of lightheartedness to his adventures, a recurring theme in his story is the profound, sometimes devastating, losses he endures, which ultimately shape his character. Beyond the initial heartache of losing his parents and Uncle Ben, Peter Parker's life is marked by further tragedy. In Tobey Maguire's portrayal, Peter experiences the loss of Harry Osborn after he takes up his father's mantle as the Green Goblin. Harry's death is a poignant reminder of the collateral damage wrought by the life of a superhero. Andrew Garfield's Peter is no stranger to grief. He mourns the passing of Captain Stacy and, more tragically, Gwen Stacy. Her demise, particularly, leaves an indelible mark on his journey as Spider-Man. For Tom Holland's Peter, the anguish begins with the loss of his father figure and mentor, Tony Stark, in Avengers Endgame. Then, in No Way Home, he must bid farewell to his beloved Aunt May. Each loss forces Peter to grow, adapt, and shoulder even greater responsibility. In Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Miles Morales has already endured a significant loss with the death of his Uncle Aaron. When confronted by the Spider Society, who insist his father must die as well, Miles actively resists, highlighting the metatextual commentary on the recurring theme of trauma and grief in Spider-Man's narrative. Number 1. The origin of "With great power comes great responsibility." Perhaps the most iconic line in all of superhero lore, "With great power comes great responsibility," originates from the Spider-Man comics. This motto has been rephrased and echoed countless times across mainstream media. However, each Spider-Man franchise offers its unique take on who delivers this iconic line. In the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, it is Uncle Ben who imparts this wisdom to Peter, shaping his path towards becoming a hero. Uncle Ben's words serve as a guiding principle for Peter's journey. In Tom Holland's MCU rendition, Aunt May offers a variation of the phrase as her dying words to Peter in No Way Home. Her version carries a heartfelt resonance, underlining the enduring importance of this message. In Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Miles Morales' father, Jeff Davis, humorously remixes the line, saying,
with great ability comes great accountability.
Miles, in his signature wit, retorts,
"That's not even how the saying goes, Dad."
Regardless of who delivers the line, its timeless message reverberates throughout Spider-Man's evolution as a hero, resonating with audiences across generations.